I want to turn to another contemporary resurrection for just a moment with you this morning. I want to take us back about a year ago this very time as rumors swirled around all of us that the Supreme Court might in fact overturn reproductive rights and freedoms once enshrined under Roe versus Wade. And as the rumors turned into a verified leak, and the verified leak turned into a fateful Friday in which the Supreme Court indeed confirmed our greatest fears, it felt like yet another Good Friday in America. It felt like another Good Friday. It felt like the empire under which we live had pushed back against its people, simply trying to experience the wholeness of our humanity. And it felt like all of us were in Mary Magdalene's position, trepidatiously going to the tomb, lingering by the empty tomb, and uncertain of what we might find next. And what did we find next? What happened next? In one of our darkest hours and the most uncertain of times I can remember, what happened next in the face of an empire willing to flex its oppressive muscles simply to remind its people who was in charge and to maintain power and control over them? Well, what happened after the horror of the ancient Good Friday? The promise of hope and the assurance of resurrection, even if it came in the form of the tiniest seed extended to us by a gardener who Mary Magdalene didn't even know or recognize. Here in our time, the people protested. The people petitioned. The people joined their ancestors of some 50 plus years ago before them, and the people rejoined in the fight to bring reproductive justice back into our time. In this great state of Michigan that you and I share and love, the resurrection was born out of a Good Friday brought on by the Supreme Court as people of all walks and stripes and ages and experiences organized, and they rallied, including in this church, and they resisted and they persisted to get not only a proposal on the ballot that would enshrine reproductive rights, but also an outcome in which we had record numbers of voters coming to actually enshrine those very rights. And as that once mysterious, unknown, unrecognizable seed of hope bloomed into a movement, the promises of resurrection did not stop there for the people that call Michigan home. For it was from that victory on the side of love and justice that a new movement was born in the name of reproductive freedom. Only this time it was a movement to see to it that lawmakers in Lansing would take away the archaic, draconian, and unjust laws from our state constitution, still left unchecked and unaddressed from 1931. And this past Wednesday, I actually got to witness the resurrection. I had the honor and the privilege and the responsibility of representing this church in the room where Governor Whitmer signed the bill into law repealing that unloving and unjust law, taking it out of our Constitution and making this a safer and more loving nation, or state rather, state for all. And that is the resurrection, and that is the good news of Easter, even for us skeptical Fountain Streeters. The Supreme Court dismantling reproductive freedoms is just another example of the empire doing what the empire is always going to do, then, now, and forever. That's what an empire does. And more frankly, it was just another Good Friday in America. And there will be more. There will be more, my friends. And each and every time there is a Good Friday in this world and in this nation, we must remember that the power of love, the promise of justice, the potential of liberation, and the potentiality of hope are not to be found in loud, clamoring fanfares or the abrasive proclamations of grandeur we so often are seeking, but in the form of a tiny seed handed to us by unknown gardeners in our midst, packed with holy possibility and sacred potential. And if you don't believe me, keep your eyes on Nashville. Set your sights on what happens next for a once oppressed people by the empire that are now invigorated by the seeds of hope that have already been planted within them. A civil demonstration of historic scale is already planned for tomorrow at the Capitol, and businesses and schools and churches and institutions are already shutting down and joining in solidarity in this rising movement. And they can silence these two men, and they can flex their muscles of fear and tyranny, and they can crash their parades of hard, heartless power over the people through the state and through our nation and through our schools and through our legislatures and through our Supreme Court. But a new movement and a new awakening has already been planted, ready to prove that when you try to silence the God of justice and the Spirit of hope and the divine mandate to love one another, it only comes back stronger and louder and more hopeful and more powerful in another way as the revolution is replanted, reborn, revived, and of course, resurrected in dimensions that hate, nor oppression, nor evil, nor sin can put asunder. So keep your eyes on Nashville, my friends.